Do we need, as humans, to eat raw food? Is it essential? Do we have to? Should we eat raw food? I'd love to know your opinions. But I'm gonna, these are my thoughts. These are my opinions. And I am not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I am just using my anecdotal N of one experiment to navigate my health journey. This is Anthony Stewart. This is Food for Thought. And there's a lot of talk about raw food and raw things that are beneficial to health. And there's a lot of arguments. So we're going to get into that. I do believe the cultures throughout time have been probably needed to eat raw things. There is the raw veganism. There is, the Japanese have quite a raw culture with seafood. And, my in my heart of hearts, it makes sense that, we are able to, as humans, eat raw things. I mean, when you look at the acidity of our stomachs, it's about 1.5 on the pH scale, which is very acidic. We are able to handle bacteria. Now, is it optimal? Is it, do you need it? There's a lot of people, especially in the carnivore space, that have resulted to eating raw and frozen fat. And, I think, once again, it comes down to context and nuance and where you're at. And, finding your own way. Once again, it's, I think we're able to eat raw food. I think it's very nutrient dense. There's arguments that when you cook it, you destroy vitamins. But there's people, specifically Dr. Sean Baker, who is eating nothing but steak and muscle meat and, eggs and stuff. And he doesn't eat organs. He doesn't eat raw things. He doesn't go freaky. And he seems to be doing just fine. And I mean, I think we have to look to anecdotes for this specifically. Now, if you enjoy raw food and you can tolerate it, why not? I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I've been eating salmon sashimi, sushi for quite possibly 30 years of my life, and I've never had a problem. I think everybody's different, and I think your stomach will decide, and your guts, the health and the stability of your systems will probably be the greatest indicator. Now, I've always, as a former chef, and on my Caesar salad dressing, I've always put a raw egg in it, and I've never had a problem. Now, that doesn't mean that you will. That doesn't mean that you should. It just means that, these options are out there. So I made a dish, which I will post in another video because I didn't want to keep this too long, about an introduction to raw beef. And I know it sounds disgusting. People freak out when, all these people eat sushi and raw Japanese food, yet, and then there's the raw vegans that eat, that believe I don't necessarily think that raw vegetables are the way to go. I think if you look at, I read a book by Dr. Bill Shindler, Eat Like a Human. We had ways of drawing out nutrition and ways of processing food properly that I think we've completely forgotten. And, there's ways to utilize the nutrition in some plants. And I don't think just growing a plant, eating it off the ground is exactly optimal. So, can we tolerate it? Obviously. Is it optimal? I would argue no, but that is my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. And, that's where you got to find the spectrum. So, my take on raw, I eat raw liver. I enjoy raw liver, but it's not because I can't stand it cooked. That's just my opinion. So I don't do it often. I do it once every few months in proportion to an animal. And now I've always eaten raw eggs, in things. So I've kind of incorporated that on my burger patties. I learned this from Lily Kane. An egg yolk on a burger, break it up. It's almost like cheese. It kind of almost a little bit cooks. And I think that's, finding your way is what it's all about. Do I think we have to eat raw? No. If you would like to eat raw, is there value in it? I think so. And also one thing I found is when I do have raw beef, I tend to not eat as much, which might be an interesting experience. experiment that we might do in the future. So I'm going to leave it at that today. I want to know what you think about raw, if you must, if you should, if you do, and leave a comment below. Thanks to all the subscribers. We're going to get going in this new year. We're going to do some crazy things, and we're going to test. I'm going to test my body, and I'm going to put it to the test in a few. I have a few ideas. We'll get into that later. So have a great New Year's, everybody. Be safe. Stay strong.